under the, you know, headline of Krautrock, there's just so much different stuff, you know. If you think about Faust 4 compared to Kraftwerk, there's no connection there at all, I don't think, you know. Just the fact they're from Germany, that's it. So, well, I think what people are saying, it's a feel, kind of. It's almost like a drum beat kind of thing. It's like take a classic Can track, you know, the shuffly drums, whatever, not a lot of chord progressions kind of stuff, you know. I think that's what people mean by krautrock these days, you know.
Krautrock feels to me like it's a groove that isn't very groovy. It's more hypnotic than groove, but it's groovy without being funky. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why it works, because there's a lot of music that's purposely funky. Some of it's good, a lot of it isn't, or whatever. And then there's stuff that is absolutely not at all. And there's a little bit of music that really is in between. And I think when you stumble upon it, it has a feeling. It's like an exotic thing that you just don't hear in very much music. I think more and more people are sort of incorporating what I think they're talking about is that, you know, it's repetitive, it's simple, but it's not, you know, it's not hard driving and it's not funky. It's like a slight elevation. I mean, for us, I know that we were probably more influenced by Stereolab, and through Stereolab going back, since they discovered a lot of music and were influenced by it, we heard it in them, which was one of the bands that we would always play with. And then through their way of playing it made us go back and go, oh, wow, this is this other music. But when Stereolab were at the peak of their not just discovering the music, but playing it and recording it and performing it, I think if you'd seen them play on some of those nights, it would absolutely blow your mind.
I'd almost rather say that, you know, instead of saying, I like krautrock, I'd almost rather say, you know, there's a lot of bands from Germany in the 1970s that I really like. And that would make more sense than saying krautrock, because if you say krautrock, people think of this one thing, you know. But if you listen to Neu and say Can don't really sound that similar, you know. Or Kraftwerk and Faust don't sound very similar. They just happen to be from Germany in the 1970s. So the krautrock thing it's almost like prog rock. Well, what is prog rock? You know, what's krautrock? Well, is it a band from Germany that played, you know, in the 1970s? Are the Scorpions krautrock? No.
No.
Yeah, and then you got Popol Vuh. Popol Vuh. We can honestly say that I can speak for both of us that 90% of the music we've heard by them is something we would never ever listen to again. It's like the worst of prog krautrock. But then there's that 10% that is just some whole other thing that no one else is doing at the time. So they did the soundtrack for, I think it's called Aguerre. It's a Werner Herzog movie. If you don't know that music, you should check it out. I think you'd like it. I would say that's more prog rock than krautrock, even though they were from Germany. But Amandul, it's like pre-punk, prog, kraut, all combined.
We tried to, but I think that was to our strength, you know, because we couldn't really play very well and didn't really know the song. Had only heard it once. We would remember it going, but it really doesn't. But to me, that's where the beauty of that is like being influenced by something is like whatever it evoked in us seemed to be more important than actually what it is, because when you actually listen to them side by side, they're not really very much alike. And I think what it evoked in us and then going through us is cool. I still think it's cool. I think the most krautrock thing that we've done on the Electric Würms is the song that ended up being called Living, and it even has, I think, lyrics that are formed from a survivor of a concentration camp. So and I think in the beginning we tried to set some lyrical rules as like, we're not just going to delve off into the fantastical world of the Flaming Lips. We tried to say it has to come from some, some corner that the Flaming Lips haven't done. But I think even some of the stuff on Embryonic and stuff is of that. It's like another turn of the Flaming Lips mind or whatever.
I think it's probably Living, the song Living, yeah. It was called The Second Time at first. I talked to this guy yesterday, and he's like, man, what's the drum kit on that? I'm like, well, it's just a drum machine and then like some electronic drums. He's like, man, you guys really dialed into the Noid drum sound on that. I'm like, I never really thought about it that way, but that is the most, it's almost like Spaceman 3 or something, That's the most, Krautrock-ish song, I think, Living. Yeah, if you can get excited about something like the Living song, it was just that stupid playing the drum machine with a delay and all that stuff, Having that be the original energy in front of the song makes you think about it in a different way than trying to write a song. Exactly. Like, oh, I've got a song, it's in D, and it's called Living the Second Time. You just would never do that. It's the fact that we created this weird drum machine feedback loop, put some sounds on top of it, and that's when it became like, well, I can write lyrics about wherever the fuck I want. Yeah.
Because the drum machine doesn't care where the 1 and the 2 and the backbeat and the forward beat is, it's always tricking you. I mean, the first couple of minutes of the song, I can't really tell where the backbeat or the top beat. It's like I just don't know what it is. And after a while, it settles in. But even then, it doesn't quite hold together. We're not really playing that machine when it comes in as a mind of its own, and then we're doing the best we can to make it seem like that. But I think it's the same thing that happens with Spaceman 3. I think that's why it stays compelling, because it's really not a machine that's keeping it all together. We're trying to keep up with the machine, but you're hearing more of us trying to keep up with it than you're hearing it. And I think if we would have tried to actually make the song on purpose the way it is, I think we would have been bored with it and went to work. And we thought, we're playing with this thing. And to me, I kept thinking, well, I think it really works. And then you're secretly going, well, yeah, it works because we like it, but it doesn't work rhythmically, and that's probably precisely why we like it, because it's always fucking you up.
I think it was actually Ronald Jones, I think it was Ronald Jones. Yeah, he was the guitar player in the Flaming Lips from 1992 to 96, and he discovered Faust 4. And he said, have you heard this Krautrock record by Faust? And I said, what and what and what? And he goes, that song by Mercury Rev off, what's the first record? Chasing a Bee. Yeah. He's like, that song Chasing a Bee, I think they were listening to It's a Bit of a Pain by Faust off Faust 4, which is some cool Krautrock. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's Krautrock? So that's the first time I heard that.
Steven and I, more than anybody else in his life, knows how absolutely original and weird and otherworldly Ronald Jones's mind was. And Steven and I, in the early 90s, would have been very satisfied with all the music that was going on and would not have even considered to go to some obscure record store and look for a record that we'd never heard. It was like there was already so much great music that we were being able to be involved in, bands that we were seeing, bands that we knew. And Ronald had just another. He just didn't enjoy all the things that we enjoyed, and there's an area of things that he really loved that we didn't love, but there was a slight overlap of his very obscure taste that I think forever changed the way we made music after that.
Transform, right?
We're going to blame that on.
It's supposed to be Dreams Die, not The Dream Dies.
It is definitely supposed to be
Dreams Die. That's a different thing to say than The Dream Dies. Did you do that?